we need to talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Um, I thought I'd just do something pretty honest, really. Usually, I kind of like throw social media. Check that out. Make sure to keep in touch. And here's what we're doing. Let's just have a frank conversation. I think so. I think I can get so personally. I get so swamped sometimes in the do's and don'ts of what I should do in a video, or how I should make something better or look better, and this and that. And to be honest, let's just talk about stuff as if we're in a pub or in a cafe or something, because I definitely have stuff to say about the new movie and about Indiana Jones in general. Actually, we're all Indiana Jones fans. The majority of us are indie fans in some capacity. Um, Very often, it's kind of like you're either most people would say Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, the Indiana Jones trilogy. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was what it was, standalone, and now we have Dial of Destiny. Now, growing up with those movies, the original trilogy, they all, particularly Raiders and Last Crusade, meant an enormous amount to me, as I'm sure they did you and other people too. Not just for the fact that they're great movies, and Raiders is still considered arguably the one of the best, if not the best, movie of all time. And I would say that alongside Back to the Future Part One. I would say they're my two favorite movies of all time, because they rock. The thing is with that trilogy, they also mean a lot to me from a sentimental standpoint. Like their ways, the movies were kind of a real canon for me connecting with my dad, for kind of get like having something in common. And when I've been really down, and as I'm sure we've all been through the same thing before, when things happen in life, when you kind of lose someone or you have something terrible happen, or you're happy, but usually for me personally, when things are really hard. A lot of bad stuff growing up with just kind of losing family members and that kind of stuff. For me, the movies were kind of an escapism to bring some kind of joy back, because I could kind of almost reset with the films, particularly Raiders again. And Last Crusade is just awesome, and I love those films dearly. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, and I remember how excited I was. It's been 19 years since Last Crusade, so there was all this hype, like almost 20 years since we'd last seen Harrison Ford as Indy. Like it'd been a long time coming, and finally it happened, and we were all gas. I remember I was in a pub in Dublin when the trailer first dropped for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Came on the TV, the music, bum bum bum, and I was just like buzzing for this movie, and I kind of had this. I had high expectations, I think, as we all did, because it was an Indiana Jones film. Because the first three were so darn good. Naturally, you think this one's going to be amazing too. And it doesn't hit the same way. It didn't hit the same way. My dad and I went to a cinema in Reading, my hometown, and where I grew up, across the street, and we went to the movies and we sat there. And I remember at the end of the film, my head was in my hands, and it was disappointment. It was I didn't even the story as well didn't make any sense to me, and I was so hell bent on the kind of like the Christian biblical Nazi kind of like characters you had in the first movie, that kind of like that he was a hero in that time period, particularly in the 1930s and 40s. So we're fast forwarding to a different era where there's like and spoiler alert, it's okay, it's been a while now, aliens, flying saucers. I know people say I've watched it back and in hindsight it's actually all right. Nah, not for me. Nah, it's just not the same. Lead fridges and monkeys and trees aside, wasn't the same. And I've tried to watch it since, like maybe once, and again, just didn't really hit for me. Like the fire ants, the Russians weren't as great. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same kind of film. And obviously, I heard the announcement that Dial of Destiny was coming out. Now, I think after that initial disappointment, that first movie, Crystal Skull, I didn't have high expectations anyway. I thought, okay, he's even older now. It is a different director, and James Mangold. It's got a new cast. There's no, there's not as much reliance on kind of like a younger new Indy coming through and all that kind of stuff with like Mutt's character and things. I didn't really know what to expect, apart from I saw the trailer drop, and the trailer looked fire. I was like, yeah, this looks kind of awesome. And he is 80 something, but wow, this looks great. But again, that expectation was kind of gone, because Crystal Skull kind of wiped the slate clean for me, because I had that then. I didn't have the same thing now. It's just like another Indiana Jones adventure. I'm down. Like if it happens, it happens. And then this is where the things really start to grind my gears. Over the years, like you might be the same way. I've really got into the habit of like watching a lot of reviews of movies, not ones that have just come out recently, but kind of like reviews of movies of the past. I really genuinely loved hearing people's opinions on what they thought of the original trilogy, for instance, or what they thought the original Star Wars movies, or The Goonies, or movies that are Ghostbusters, things that kind of like I just loved growing up, that are kind of like iconic, and just hearing people's thoughts about it, because it's interesting to me, because I have my own opinions, and it's great. When Dial of Destiny started doing the rounds, and it was a thing, and that it was going to come out, there was a lot of like the critics, or the kind of like the gossip columnists, or YouTubers who kind of do movie reviews and things, that I was kind of like listening to and watching, and I was kind of like, almost gearing myself up for what was to come, because 99% were negative. 99%. It was always like, this is going to be terrible. Why are they doing it? This is a really bad idea. It's not going to be the same. He's too old. There was so much of that, and obviously the rumors started flying around. Kind of like, what are Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm doing to this? Is it going to be Phoebe Waller-Bridge going to be this real woke character? It's going to completely change the narrative, and what is the Indiana Jones legacy to a degree? Is it going to have, is it going to be a total waste of time and money, and they're reshooting, and all these different things costing loads of money, and CGI, deepfakes, and indie de-aged. I mean, all these things started to kind of make you go, oh god, this is going to be really bad. And I started feeling really negative about the film. I kept saying it's going to be terrible. I would talk to people in the street and go, yeah, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be rubbish. And then the Cannes Film Festival happened. Dial of Destiny, the Cannes Film Festival. And you saw Bob Iger there, Kathleen Kennedy, Harrison Ford, kind of all standing there promoting the movie, looking happy, looking chipper about what's about to come out. And critics slammed it. They hated it. And it got like 1 out of 5 across the board. It was like, what's the point of this? Underwhelming, wasn't this? And again, my heart sunk again. I didn't think it could, but it went even lower. I thought, this is going to be so bad, and I'm dreading this. That happens. And I start thinking, right, it's going to be worse than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was so rock bottom for me that I don't know if I even want to see it, but I have to, because it's indie and it means a lot to me. And my dad, obviously, we kind of wanted to see it together. So I rock up the morning of the 28th of June, where it came out here in the UK. Same cinema where I went to see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Same cinema. Going to get the carbon copy seats. Same place that I watched that last movie, thinking, okay, here we go. Got to the cinema on the 28th. And bearing in mind, that afternoon I was flying to Poland for 5 days, and then from Poland flying to the Middle East for 7 days, because I had work commitments. So I had to see it that one screening in the morning at like 11:30. I could not see it then. Otherwise it would be 12 days to see this movie. I get to the movie theatre. There's been a power cut. A power cut. Like, can you believe it? A power cut has cut everything off. Like, just... It's all like the whole area. It's not going back, and that's the only screening I can see. I'm devastated. Obviously, I'm devastated, and I get to a point where I'm like, do you know what? This wasn't meant to be. Maybe it was a sign. Maybe it was a jinx of some sort, or like some kind of like destiny. It was not supposed to happen, and I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna have to wait at least 12 days, and we both agreed. My dad and I will come back in 12 days. When I'm home. And people start popping up their reviews. I don't read any of them or watch any of them. I want to make my own opinions up about this. But obviously, filled with negativity. It gets to the movie yesterday. It gets to the movie. And we're seeing the 10:30 screening. Same cinema again. I go back. Power's on this time. We're groovy. Get in there. Lazy boy chairs. They've upgraded the cinema. I'm in a good spot. I turn to my dad and I say, please let this not be terrible. Please let this not be terrible. And I'm not going to spoil anything of this movie. I'm not going to talk about the ins and outs of it or what happened. But I sat there for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And it made me realise very early on that I need to stop listening to other people's opinions quite so much about films. And I need to stop being so sucked in by, I guess, clickbait to a degree, because we all know that the algorithm negativity really benefits clicks and gets you more, because I'm watching stuff thinking, okay, this is like people are not really kind of into this. I sat there for 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I must have turned to my dad at least 3 or 4 times in that whole time going, this is good, isn't it? This is actually good. And he was like, it's great. Yeah. We could not believe how good Dial of Destiny was. Now, I could be one of a few that actually genuinely thinks it was good and not terrible. I actually would go as far as saying I massively enjoyed it. Genuinely. I left feeling so relieved from that movie theatre that Indy, I thought, had, a great, he was still an action hero. There were obviously things. Yes, at the beginning of the movie, there was a 20-minute deep fake, kind of like, Indiana Jones, not deep fake, de-aging. And the whole first 20 minutes of the prologue is spectacular. Like the exact action you'd expect from Spielberg and Lucas back in the 80s. Like it was so great, and it was just really well set up, really frenetic, fast paced, action, great. Then he's obviously an older man. We all know about this as well from the trailers. But I kind of dug where he was at. He paid his dues. He'd done what he did during the kind of the war, and he was now a teacher again and things. And there was this kind of like story arc that it was believable to me. I actually genuinely thought this feels real to me. This actually feels like a thing. And I watched it and I just embraced it for what it was, and I loved the aspect. I mean, it was a long movie, for sure, but so much ground is covered, so many action sequences. They're underwater, they're in kind of caves, they're in God knows where. I'm not going to spoil the rest, but they're everywhere at all times. And it's a real adventure, which I think has some real lovely sentiments to it. Didn't find Phoebe Waller-Bridge anywhere near as difficult to watch as other people have. So there's some people who have absolutely crucified her as an actress in this. I thought her character was fine. It was great. I think Helena is her name. Fine, great. I liked all of them. I think they had really nice nods to certain things, like, that have happened in previous movies, and characters and story arcs and things as well. So there's definitely nostalgia there. But I don't think it was nostalgia bait. I don't think it was nostalgia bait that everyone was kind of, you're only there because of those things. Where I think Kingdom of Crystal Skull did lean on those things quite a lot. I don't think Dial of Destiny, it had them, but it didn't feel like a crutch to me. It did feel like a bespoke adventure. And the ending's the thing that probably people will be most divided on. The ending of the whole thing. Again, this is not a spoiler review, so I will not be divulging into it, because I know you probably want to see, you're watching it in the cinemas, Disney Plus, or it might be. But for me, yes, the ending didn't go exactly how I wanted it to go. I wasn't like the ending. I didn't say I didn't enjoy it, but the way that it turns out, I was like, oh, okay, that's how that's what they're gone for. Okay, cool, that's fine, and I was content with that. I would have preferred the other ending, if you know what I mean. If you've seen this, you know what I mean. The ending where there's a choice, and the other choice. I would have loved that. I think that to me felt more. It had more. It felt like it connected a lot more dots with his father and what he does for a job and the history he's had and the adventures he's been on. It felt to me more like that's what should have happened to him. But that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Dial of Destiny, I think, got a really bad rap. And that kid, that young boy who over these years has loved Indiana Jones, the character, the adventures, it's inspired me so many different ways over time and made me so much happier just watching these films. And there's such wonderful, wonderful movies. Crystal Skull now, to me, doesn't feel quite as finite or quite as bad anymore, because it wasn't the end. Yes, you could say Ride Off Into the Sunset and Last Crusade was an ending. It was a perfect ending to a great trilogy story arc. But Dial of Destiny is kind of like, here's just what could have happened. Have you ever seen that movie Clue with Tim Curry back in the 80s? It was like, here's what could have happened instead, or this is the other thing that could happen. Like, that was fun. And that thing, Dial of Destiny feels like this is what could have happened. This is what happened in the post years, not in the kind of like when he was like the Joneses, proper indie on adventures saving the world from Nazis. It was more like this was a opportunity to just see what would have happened in those later years. And it was a great adventure, and it had a lot, and it worked for me. And I feel complete. I didn't feel complete after Crystal Skull. Now I feel complete. And the great thing about it was my dad and I left that theatre together. We smiled. We embraced. We had a moment and went, that was brilliant. And I'm really glad I saw it with you. Because it brought that chapter to a close, like the Indy saga. He saw the movie in 81, before I was born, at a screening. He worked in advertising and he saw it. He was invited to go. Raiders of the Lost Ark, didn't have a clue what it was. And that movie made such a big impact on him. and obviously passing it down to me. Even my 5-year-old now can't stop talking about Indiana Jones. We haven't seen it obviously yet together, but we've got lots to look forward to. But I'm so glad Dial of Destiny came out and did what it did, because I'm really fed up with the negativity I had, understandably because of that Crystal Skull saga. But the stuff online, the people saying certain things, wasn't justified for me. It was good, and I liked it a lot, and I encourage you to see it too. This is just me being candid. I might do more of these videos. I don't think it's the thing. Maybe we should do more of these. Just kind of have a chat, have a chinwag. I love your comments below. Have you seen it? What did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Let me know. If you didn't like it, that's fine. I did. But you might not, and that's totally cool, and I get that. But it was good, and I feel fab having seen it. So that's just me. Thank you for watching this video. Indy had to say something. Just thinking about it loads. So yeah, that's me. Fortune and glory, and I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.